Welcome to Abundance. You guessed it, a podcast dedicated to all things surrounding dance. I am Kristen.
And I am Hannah, and we are two best friends who are brought together by this art form.
Please join us in 5, 6, 7, 8.
Welcome back, everyone. We had a little break from our Abundance podcast, but now we're back and we're ready to give you some interviews. We have a couple of interviews set up and we just can't wait to get started. Today we have a very special guest. Kristen, would you like to introduce her?
Yes, I'd love to. So I've had the pleasure of working alongside and learning with the lovely Renée this past year as we've both been pursuing our MA in teaching dance in the professions, ABT ballet pedagogy at NYU. Renée is truly such a multifaceted artist, and we'd love if you could just give a little introduction about yourself to our audience, Renée.
Sure. Well, I fell in love with ballet at age 3 and started lessons then and studied with the Royal Academy of Dance syllabus in the States until 18. And then I got a full scholarship to study with Rudra Bejar in Switzerland after receiving a gold medal from President Clinton with the Presidential Scholar in the Arts program. And I was in Switzerland for 2 years, had the pleasure to study with Maurice Bejar, which was a complete delight. And then I danced professionally for a couple of years, but really found my passion was teaching. So I've been teaching for most of my adult life, opened a school about 6 years ago and called Royal City Ballet School. And that's it. That brings me to this past year when I applied and got into NYU, and then have been studying with the very best of ABT in the world. And here we are.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that little intro. We'll definitely be asking some more questions, some specifics about some of those different things you mentioned, but we were curious about, so I know most recently you've been working as the first ever archives intern at ABT. So we were wondering if you could share with us a little bit about what got you into and interested in dance archives, and maybe just even a little bit about what dance archives are for maybe some listeners who aren't so familiar with that.
Sure. Well, I've always had a love of history. My own ballet teacher would infuse our classes with historical facts and little tidbits about different ballets and choreographers and stuff. So I always have had a mind for that. And I myself did the same thing in my own classes, but the passion just developed even more over time, and I got more interested in historical research. The biggest drive for me in archiving is telling the stories of people who haven't had their stories told yet, particularly the 19th century to today. So I guess that's it. And then on a practical level, archiving is dealing with artifacts. So you're not only dealing with information, like researching historical figures, but you're also going into dance companies and helping them organize their costumes. And there are a lot of materials that are left behind by dance. Dance is ephemeral. As soon as it happens, it disappears. But it's the stories of the people and the production, the process of production that is told by what's left behind. So that's kind of where I want to go with that.
I think that makes sense. I think that's a really cool way to put it. Because like you said, it's something that's fleeting, and really as a dancer, you can only kind of, I guess, capture those moments and memories. But then as you're describing through archiving, there's other things involved that can be remembered.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing with us. I am just loving hearing what you have to say, and I haven't met someone who is an archivist, so it's super cool. And I think you're describing it perfectly. No need to stress about that. Hopefully our audience thinks so too, but I would think that they are getting a clear understanding.
It's so interesting. So with ABT, since you're the first ever, was that something that you suggested to them, or have they
Yeah.
had this position, but just people haven't really been interested in the past? How did that come about?
Yeah, it hasn't really been a focus, and to be honest, it hasn't been a focus, it seems, of a lot of dance companies, because it seems the process, creative process and everything, getting the seasons ready and everything is very now focused. So to have a person whose sole job is to look in the past is actually really valuable, and ABT sees the value in that. And I think a lot of dance companies actually are turning to that direction. But well, I asked because I was thinking, well, we're so involved in our program with ABT, so I was thinking a lot about ABT, and I have a lot of books I was going through, and I just thought, I wonder if they have a person who's kind of in charge of the artifacts that are there, the things that have been left behind through the years, and also what their organizational, like, informational systems are like, kind of behind the scenes. So those are the two sides of archiving. It's the IRL stuff and it's the digital information. So I was kind of wondering about both. So we had a guest speaker from ABT come, and he said, if you have any questions, let me know. And so I emailed him, and just the audacity, oh my gosh. But I emailed him and I said, well, I think I put in the title archives person right here. So and then I asked him if they had anybody on archives at ABT, because I didn't see it on their website. And he said, actually, no, but tell me more. So I told him a little bit about it, and he said, let's give it a try. So
That's
I
amazing.
thank you. So I started in the spring, and it was really cool too. They were willing to work with me from Oregon. So I did a lot of stuff, digital organization of information, which I really, really enjoyed. And it did involve research as well. So I've just been learning so much, and I think they're really happy with my work. I think that is definitely something that is, as I said before, very valuable for dance companies.
And
Yeah.
Renee, are you still working with ABT? Is that something you're going to continue?
Yes, well, at this point, I'm moving to California, so I won't be in the New York area. But yeah, they did offer to let them know when I'm in New York, and I can come and visit and take a look at their IRL archives.
Very nice.
That's
So
awesome.
cool. I love to. It just goes to show sometimes you just have to like ask and kind of
Yes,
create opportunities for yourself. And so that's amazing.
that's right.
So happy you did that.
Especially with such a world-renowned company, and the fact that you were able to collaborate, like with ABT and with NYU. I feel like you're probably kind of combining the two, like your education, and just like what you love to do. And yeah, you're seeking out those opportunities. You're kind of seizing the day, and you're creating something beautiful for yourself. And it's just very valuable. It's something we can all learn from you.
Thank you. Yeah,
Fun
it's
little
been extremely enriching. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say a fun little tidbit about Renee, which I think this is just so like such a fun thing about you, is whenever we log on for our NYU and ABT classes, Renee like always has a different picture as her like Zoom screen when she has her camera off. And so I feel like that ties in perfectly to like your interest in history and all of that. It's always like, what does Renee have on her screen today?
That's awesome. Today it's Tamara Kasavana, who's turning into a hero. I just think she's so amazing. I want to learn so much more about her. Anyway. if you're interested in historical figures, she's a good one.
Oh, so these are different people. I was thinking it was you, like at different points of
Oh,
in your life.
thank
Oh,
you.
that's super cool.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
To take a little bit of switch and discuss something a little different, you spoke a lot about your experiences studying in Lausanne with Rudra Béjart, and you mentioned that a little bit earlier. Can you just share a little bit more about that experience, as it seems to be a highlight for you?
I know it keeps coming up. Yeah. So I was there for 2 years, and basically we worked from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Let's see, it was Tuesday to Sunday. And it was blocks of 1.5 to 2 hour classes with 15 minutes in between, half an hour for lunch. And it was just like everything you could imagine. We started with a 2-hour ballet class with Azari Plasetsky, brother of Maya Plasetskaya. And he was just amazing. And our pianist played with the Bolshoi Orchestra. I know. And then we would have 2-hour Graham classes with Myra Woodruff, who now teaches at SMU. And then it would be like percussion. We had voice lessons, kendo, martial art. And then we would have guest teachers. So they would come and stay for about 3 months at a time. And we studied Bharatanatyam. And we had a guy from the Royal Shakespeare Company come and set Hamlet on us, a part of Hamlet. And we kind of did this dance thing with it. And we even did Commedia dell'arte, which I really loved, from Italy. So, and we also did repertoire, and yeah, it was just incredible. It was just incredible in every way. It's like you experience the full spectrum of human emotion, and you were like pushed so far. And luckily, Maurice Béjart was alive at that time, so I got to meet him and be involved with his ballets as well. But yeah, oh, and we finished the whole thing with this big tour of the south of France and Italy. But yeah, it was pretty epic.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I love hearing about that. And was it like a training program? I'm not exactly sure or familiar with it. Is that
Yeah,
what it is, a training program?
it's a pre-professional program. So
Okay.
it's for ages 16 to 22, I believe. And it was meant to be a bridge from the end of pre-professional training to professional life. But graduates of the program have done just about everything you could do in dance. So
Yeah, what a valuable experience. Thank you for sharing.
I think
absolutely.
what's so interesting about that, because Renee, I think you would consider your like area of focus to be ballet, right?
Right.
Dance. But it's so cool about that though, is I feel like a lot of ballet programs are usually so like narrow focused in terms of what is offered. But it sounds like you got so much exposure and so much different like training and education through that pre-professional program, which is just so cool. It's so like I feel like non-traditional to what is offered, at least here in the United States for ballet dancers. So that's really awesome.
Yeah,
Totally.
I was thinking about that too, like the martial arts and the Graham work, right? You said it was Graham that
Yeah.
you took class from. Now, of course, like at summer programs, we do see a lot of ballet dancers taking modern, but the fact that you had, the Hamlet training and the martial arts on top of that makes it so well versed, and you're like well rounded. And I feel like you probably established many more skills than you would have if you just took a regular like ballet summer program in the States, just amazing. So
Well, what it showed me, there's so many things I can say about it, but one thing that comes to mind is that it showed me the heart, the thread that ran through all the different performing arts that we were exposed to, it just like the core humanity of it all. And I think that was very valuable for me as an artist. It also showed me I can do other things, which is very valuable for a ballet student who might have tunnel vision. You can also do other things and broaden your horizon, and that feeds your own art in ballet. That's going to feed your movement, that's going to feed what you present to the audience and how you express yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And Renee, I actually have a question for you too. What were some of the differences in studying and dancing professionally abroad as opposed to doing so in the States? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, there was a sense that the government was supportive. Here in the States, the government is supportive too, but a lot of companies have to search privately or have to search for donors to get the support that they need. But when, at least where I was, it felt like the Swiss government was very involved and happy to support what was going on in the arts. And it felt like if you got a job, and I have a few friends who were dancing with the Bejar company, you were set up. So you were earning a good living. I don't know if there was retirement, but probably, they got their insurance was taken care of. It's like all the aspects of being a human and having a good, solid job were there for dancers as well. And I think that only strengthens the art.
Definitely. Yeah, because they're being cared about and looked after, and they had that security that I think a lot of times in the arts in the States, we don't necessarily have that.
Right. And something else that I found was just overwhelming enthusiasm from people I would meet on the street. If they found out that I was a ballet dancer, it was like automatic respect.
Wow.
It's like, just a reverence for the art form itself, which I find sometimes in the US, but not all the time, or people don't necessarily know a lot about ballet. But my experience where I was in Europe, a lot people knew ballet and they knew about the rigors it took to get to a certain level of excellence, and it was just like auto respect. It was very exciting for a young ballerina.
Yeah, it's almost as if like you're a doctor or a surgeon in the United States.
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah, very.
Even just from traveling to Europe, I feel like I've gotten that sense of just appreciation for the arts there. And it's, I can't say I've experienced it on your level of like training or dancing abroad, but I've just sensed a different level of appreciation for the arts. And I think too, what you were mentioning just about the stability of the career there too, I think it allows dancers to invest more than in their career, because I feel like we often see in the States, like your classic, like struggling artist of, having to try to pick up all these side jobs and side hustles to just support yourself. And then that in a way like ends up taking away from like your full devotion to the art. So
that's right. Yeah,
I think that that's really valuable for many reasons, but that being one of them.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Well, now I think it's a good time to take a break, and we will be back in a little bit.
Sounds good.
Here's a word from our sponsor.
All right, so I want to ask you, Renee, a little bit about how you opened your school, the Rose City Ballet School, and how did it come about? I know you spoke a little bit about that earlier on, but can you just tell us a little bit more in detail?
Yes. Okay, so I knew I wanted to open up a school my whole life. I did. But it was a matter of timing and also finding the right place. So I've lived in a lot of different places, Santa Barbara, San Francisco, Astoria. But it was when I went to Portland and started taking classes, I was offered a job to teach. And then once I started teaching, my class sizes were growing and growing and growing. And then I thought, okay, maybe now's the time. I had a little bit of savings. And I really took my time to, once I decided that this was the place, I took a little more time to save up a little more. But while I was doing that, just like really thinking it out, what kind of place do I want? What do I want the general energy to be like? Um, what's my curriculum going to be like? Who am I going to be serving? So it was time to find a spot. And I went all over Portland, got a feel for different places. It wasn't quite there yet, but then I was teaching private lessons at the time, and one of the moms spotted something. I went to go look, and it was perfect. So I think I moved in maybe like a month or two later. I signed a lease, like a business commercial lease, which was like, what? And and then I had students right away. I'm telling you, if you want to open up a school, you should do it. It's an adventure. You're gonna learn so much. It's a total dream. It's hard work, and it's a really smart business plan, especially if you are taking care of the classes and you're running the business side.
That was something I was going to ask about. I thought it was pretty much a one-woman show for you.
It was.
The business. Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. From the beginning, I kind of had this attitude like, this is an offering, I'm just like here for it. And so as soon as I got an email, I'd respond. I was like on top of it. I did the website. I had this really cool kind of cloud sign up software. So that took care of a lot of the like administrative side of things. Set up an auto pay, which I recommend for teachers out there. And I most importantly connected with American Ballet Theater, the national training curriculum. And that was really the heart of my offering at my school. Its holistic approach was exactly what I was looking for. And just so you know, my motto for my school was warmth, excellence, and diversity. And it's on the front page of my website, or the home page. And so that was a really wonderful way to attract families who had similar hopes for their student in ballet education.
Wow, that's wonderful. And did you hire other people as well to teach, or was it just you? It was just you?
It was just me. So at the beginning, I wanted to figure out where my niche was. And so I offered the full gamut of beginning to advanced, all ages. And then from there, I narrowed it down. Every year, I would change the schedule to further narrow it down to my niche, which at the time, which I really still feel passionate about, was beginning to intermediate students. And I did ages 3 to 13.
Wow. So Kristen did say this was a one-woman show, but I didn't realize how one-woman it was. That must have been so much hard work, but very gratifying, it seems.
It was, absolutely. Just like you're learning so much as a teacher, as a dancer, as a person, as a businesswoman. You're just like constantly learning, and it was amazing. I gave myself room to fail going in. So that's really important. But yeah, one woman show. And at one point I was teaching 33 classes a week. So that following year, like I was narrowing it down to find my niche, and then I narrowed it down for self-care. So then, yeah, I finally found a good flow that worked with my life. But yeah.
How many students on average did you have in each class?
So that was really important to me, that I kept the class sizes small. It never went above, well, with the littles, I did have more than 12 at one point in one class. But in general, I kept the classes to like 9 or 10 people, so that people felt like they were getting individual attention. And I had wait lists.
Wow.
Which was a good way to go.
So not surprised that you did this like all yourself. Like it seems so fitting, but I'm just thoroughly impressed. And I think too that it's, like you said, it must have been really rewarding to kind of shape it the way you wanted it to be. Like you didn't have to work under someone and follow their specific rules or the way that they wanted to do or run things, but it could really be your true like mission and vision, which I think
Yes, that was the best part. It was so amazingly creative and cathartic. Also, we had a show every year, and it would be at Thanksgiving time, so like harvest time. That would be our show, and we would make up a ballet from scratch. So we didn't end up doing Nutcracker, but instead every year we would create our own. So like one ballet that we did was all Oregon flowers. Each class was a different flower. Another one was planets, which was really fun. Every level was a different planet. And what was we did a birds. Everybody was a different kind of bird. So that was really fun. The students would help me with the scenario, figuring out the plot line and the through line. And then everyone would pitch in as well, just like with costume ideas. And then I would do the ordering and the ultimate look of the piece. It was always really fun.
That's so fun.
And the collaborative process.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
what I was going to say. I'm sure your students loved that too, because that gave them a lot of opportunities as well.
They really did. And when it came down to choreographing the thing and even choosing music, I would always involve them. And sometimes they would come to class, Miss Renee, I have a great movement idea for this part. And it was just like, yeah, that's amazing.
So cool. So cool.
And just so wholesome. So cute. I just love hearing about this. And Renee, how old were you when you started your school?
I think 33.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it just seemed like the right time in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a perfect age for that.
Yeah.
It's definitely something I'm somewhat interested in, but I just know that I'm not at a place yet.
Yeah, take your time.
Ready for that.
When the time's right.
Kristen has 10 more years.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
All right, well, I have another question for you. Can you tell us what you believe is one of the most important qualities to have as a dance teacher and why?
All right, let me think. I think off the top of my head, the very first thing that comes to mind is empathy.
It's a good one.
Really get a feel for the room. You can get a sense too of how what you say affects a person when you're teaching. And I think language is extremely important, and using empathy and intentional language, I think, are both really important.
kind of ties in a little bit, I think, especially to the fact that like you had your own school and were able to make it what you wanted. But I really love, it's been so interesting hearing about everyone's work with their thesis this summer. And so I'm curious, like in a very condensed version, because I know that like there's so much involved and so much like research, but if you could like make one just change, if you had that power to make a big impact in the ballet and like dance world and change something from what it kind of is already or how it exists, what would that thing be?
So I think that thing would be to help world-class ballet become more inclusive and reflective of the diversity of the many multicultural societies that exist in the world.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I know like there's so much more that goes into it. And so, but
I have the 19-page version if you want.
Yeah. Yeah, anyone who wants to read Renee's papers can reach out to her. But I think that sums it up really perfectly.
It's really cool too because it's a perfect bridge where I'm going career-wise because now I'm going to be teaching more advanced students. So Rose City Ballet School is now completely online and I'm going to be an advanced coach. And so basically I'm offering 45-minute sessions with pre-professional, professional, and formerly professional dancers to work on the polishing, the nuance, and perhaps work on some of these ideas through repertoire and stuff like that. Also offering French for ballet sessions and ballet history. So anything you're interested in, I can help you go down the rabbit hole research-wise.
That's awesome. And you kind of already answered this, Renee, but we were wondering where you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years. And I think where you do see yourself is probably still educating and teaching. Is that true?
That's true. So I think one big takeaway from this NYU program is that dance education, the idea of dance education is a lot bigger than what I was thinking. It's a lot more than teaching class, which is just like a whole universe in and of itself. But dance education can be so much broader. So for me, that is archives. That's like learning about our history so we know who we are going forward.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's almost like you're coming full circle with our whole chat today because we talked about the archives and now we're kind of finishing with you talking about the archives.
Amazing.
So and then lastly, we just want to know, what's your favorite ballet? Like just a little fun question. Could you tell us? Do you have one? I know it's
my gosh.
Such a hard question, right?
It's so hard.
Well,
it's hard for you. Okay. Well, I'm gonna
top two, maybe.
Top two. Okay. Top two that come to mind. Giselle Forever. I love Giselle. Always will. I want to see some of the new versions of Giselle because I've been reading about them. That have kind of a feminist twist, which sounds awesome. And just the music, oh my gosh. And also it would be really interesting to kind of research the different versions through time, like how the costumes have looked and everything. That would be really fun. My other favorite ballet is the 7 Greek Dances by Maurice Béjart. Oh. Check it out. Yeah, there's a version.
I'm familiar with that one.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's so the person who wrote the music for Zorba the Greek, Theodorakis, he, from what I know, was actually in the studio while the 7 Greek Dances was being choreographed. And so the music was composed for the movement. And it's just completely gorgeous.
I'm Greek, so I'll have to check that
Oh
out.
my gosh, you have to check it out. There's a version of Beijar Ballet Lausanne doing it in front of Versailles.
Ooh, wow.
I'll see if I can send it to you.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and I'm also a big fan of Giselle. Hannah and I, that was our last big performance we got to do at Mercyhurst together. We did
Oh,
full-length Giselle with a live orchestra our senior year before COVID
gosh.
hit. So
Was that just a dream?
It was super fun. And I'm actually excited because with the Ballet Theater of Maryland that I just started with, that's going to be our first performance this fall. So I'm excited to go from that was like the last big performance I did before COVID hit. And now that's going to be the first big performance returning. So I'm excited.
Awesome.
A wonderful
Full
ballet.
circle.
Yeah, full circle once again.
Yeah, wonderful ballet though. I was the mom. So I had pantomime, and that was new for me, so that was really fun. But like the whole ballet is great, and it has so much depth to it. So I understand why you love that one. And then also the what's it called? The seven dances, the seven
Greek dances.
7 Greek dances sounds amazing too. So definitely have to look into that as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. We had so much fun chatting
Awesome.
today, Renee. I feel like I got to learn even more about you because, when we're in classes, we don't always get to just like talk amongst ourselves and talk about our personal experiences. So this has been really amazing.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. And it's extra special because you're our first interview.
Yes.
I'm honored. Thank you.
We'll see you sometime soon.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. Bye, Renee.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning into Abundance. We appreciate your support. We hope to have PK'd your interest. Feel free to contact us at abundancepodcast5678@gmail.com and give us feedback on what you'd like to hear. That is abundance without parentheses. Go dance yourself silly. Bye for now.
A special thank you to Richard DiFiore for our lovely podcast tune and Matt Mellish for our cover art.